Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today it's going to be a very chill video. As you can probably tell, I'm sitting at my desk. I've got a little candle burning in my background. Oh no, you can't see it. There you go. It's cereal from Ella the brand. It smells delicious. I'm in a very chatty mood today and I really just wanted to sit down with you guys and chill. I asked you guys on Instagram to send me over some assumptions that you had about me. And I love doing these types of videos because I feel like it just allows you guys to get to know me a little bit better beyond the typical makeup videos that I film. So let's just get right into the questions. So I got a lot of assumptions about my relationship, and one of the funniest ones that I got was that I'm secretly married. And my first thought was, that would be something you would do. First of all, no, I'm not secretly married. You think me, a Gemini, would be able to keep that type of secret from you? Absolutely not. Like, being private about my relationship is one thing, but not telling you that I was married or had a whole wedding, let alone if I was engaged, come on, I would tell you. I would be so excited. I would not be able to keep that in. This next assumption is you didn't expect jamiepagedoodles to become another stream of income. Not only did I not expect jamiepagedoodles to be another stream of income, but I didn't expect jamiepagedoodles to be a thing, period. So just to kind of rewind a little bit, if you didn't know, I have a stationery shop where I mostly sell stickers and some other things, and it's from things that I doodle, and I absolutely adore doing it. So basically what happened was I started sharing my digital art on my Instagram stories, and I was worried that because I was sharing my art so much on my Instagram that people who just wasn't interested in my art just wouldn't enjoy it. And so I decided to make a completely separate Instagram page just for my doodles. And I didn't even really think so much about the name. My Instagram name is Jamie Page Beauty, and so I just called this one Jamie Page Doodles. And I remember creating that account and then posting like a couple of my art pieces and then having a total freak out. And I was this close to deleting the page because I was just like, what am I doing? Nobody's going to care about these. Like, this is so dumb. People are going to think this is so stupid. And I remember sharing all of these thoughts and emotions with my boyfriend as I was like literally panicking on the couch. And he stopped me and he was like, what are you talking about? You need to relax and come back down to earth and just chill. Like, share your art. Don't take it so seriously. And I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. And so I didn't end up deleting the Instagram account, and thank goodness that I didn't, because then I wouldn't have the Jamie Page Doodles that I have today. And from there, I got people DMing me, asking me to create prints from the doodles that I was sharing. And then I had people asking me for stickers of the doodles that I was sharing. And I was like, really? And I kind of just built this business just one step at a time, and I was just figuring things out as I went, and then things just kind of grew from there. And here we are 1 year later, and I have a whole section in my office dedicated to Jamie Page Doodles now. I wanted to tell the story because I get so many DMs from people who are letting me know that they want to start something, whether that's a YouTube channel or a business, but they just don't know how to start or if they should start. And my advice is always just to do it, because you just never know what could happen, especially if it's something that you are passionate about. It is so worth taking that first step. Honestly, having zero expectations is the key, or it maybe won't take you in the direction that you think it's going to take you, but maybe it'll lead you to something else, which will lead to something else, which will lead to something else. So I always say, don't hesitate. If you are passionate about something and you feel strongly about it, do it. You just never know what could happen. I love a good motivational speech. I got another assumption here that says I don't like confrontation. That is definitely a very true assumption. I absolutely despise confrontation and I like to avoid it as much as possible. And it's so funny because I speak such a big game, like, to myself in my head. If somebody does me wrong, I have like a script that I ideally would like to say to them in my head. If and when it ever comes down to it, I don't. And I basically almost always freeze up and start crying. I assume you'll tell us you have dry skin 15 times your next video. Probably. I feel a little bit attacked for that one, but you're not wrong. I assume that being an influencer can be costly. I mean, I think it depends on the influencer in question. It can definitely be very costly. It depends on how you work. I mean, you can make YouTube videos with sunlight and your cell phone. You don't need to spend a ton of money to be able to do it. But over the years, I have definitely spent a lot of money on my career. And that includes thousands of dollars for my equipment, for example, thousands of dollars for makeup that I've purchased for my enjoy my channel. And then I also even have my office space, which is definitely an expense. It's not a hobby of mine, it's my job. And so there are true expenses that come along with that, which is just normal. I assume that there are times that you don't want to be on YouTube. This made me sad. This is not a correct assumption at all. I am so incredibly grateful that YouTube is my job. You know, I've built this career over the last 9 years, and I'm really, really proud of it. I'm really proud of the community that I've built here, and I love doing what I do. But a lot of last year, I would say that I definitely experienced quite a big burnout. This job requires creativity, of course. And so if you get to the point where you are completely creatively burnt out, it makes it really difficult to actually do your job. And I think it really caught up with me last year, and I find it really difficult to allow myself time off because I just feel so incredibly guilty for doing so. And there were a lot of times over the last year where my burnout was really affecting my mental health, and was kind of this vicious cycle where, because I was feeling so shitty mentally, it made it really, really hard to create. And that just was a really, really shitty feeling. And what I really needed was just a little bit of time off, just to kind of reset and just regroup and get my creative juices flowing again. And over the holiday break, I finally allowed myself that time, and I took 2.5, close to 3 weeks off, which I don't think I've ever done in my entire career. And it was so well needed. I'm really happy that I did it, because I do definitely feel very much refreshed and just like ready to create. Whereas before, my brain was just like empty. Like I had nothing left. And now I actually have ideas flowing again, which just feels so good, because honestly, one of the worst feelings for me as a creative person is just not feeling creative. And I'm just really happy that that's coming back finally. I just really needed that time. And I think moving forward, I really need to prioritize that a little bit more. That's what my therapist says too. Oh, hi. It's a different day. That's why I look different. It's actually the next day. Something popped up yesterday, so I had to stop filming. Unfortunately, all of the assumptions you guys sent me yesterday disappeared from my Instagram. I don't know what happened, but I'm not able to access them anymore. So I decided that instead of just asking you guys to send me more assumptions, to send me some questions that you want me to answer. So this is now turning into a Q&A. Kind of same, just a little bit different. Sarah asked if I would buy this much makeup if this wasn't my job. I think the obvious answer is definitely not. I would probably still have a pretty extensive collection, just because I love makeup and I love purchasing makeup and trying new things. And so I don't think that would ever change. But the way that I buy makeup right now is with a little bit of a different mindset. I purchase a lot of products specifically for certain types of videos, which is why I do spend a whole lot of money on makeup. Granted, I do get makeup sent to me, of course, in PR, but I still buy a lot of products myself, and I still spend a lot of money on products. And I just don't think I would probably purchase makeup at the same rate. Or maybe I would, I don't know, but most likely not. This is a really good question. How do you make sure your work life and personal life stay separate? This is something that I've always made a priority ever since I started my channel. I really think this always comes down to the person and their personal preferences of what they actually feel comfortable sharing. My job is literally to share myself on the internet, and that can be a very vulnerable place to be. And I'm so aware of that. And I feel like I've been almost too hyper aware of that in the past, where I've held back a lot of myself so that I kind of just kept those two things very, very separate. And I think that was just a way of protecting myself, to be completely honest. But over time, as I've gotten more and more comfortable on my channel, I've been doing this for such a long time, I feel like that just comes with time. I have felt more comfortable to share more of my day to day, but at the same time, I still keep certain parts of my life as private as I can, or as I feel comfortable, just because that's what feels right for me. Like, especially when it comes to sharing my relationships or my friendships or my family, I like to keep that close to me, because as I've said, I think before, I chose to share my life online, but the people in my life haven't. So I need to respect their boundaries as well as my own. What's my overall goal for 2022 and what's something that I want to avoid in 2022? One of the biggest goals that I have for 2022, and it's so cheesy, but it's really something that I want to work on, is just kind of structuring my life a little bit more. For the last year especially, I feel like I've been a little bit more lenient as far as how I spend each and every day. The way that I have been working over the last little bit is I kind of just do what needs to be done and I figure out what needs to be done that day. And I'm realizing because I do work for myself, it is really important for me to have a little bit more structure to my day to day and have certain days that are dedicated to certain types of tasks. And so I've already started doing that. Like for example, my Mondays and Tuesdays are my YouTube days, and that's when I film and edit my videos. My Wednesdays are my admin days, and then my Thursdays and Fridays are jamiepagedoodles days. And so it just kind of gives me a little bit more structure to my week, and I'm able to organize myself a lot better. And it also gives me a little bit of like a fire underneath my ass. So I can't like push things to another day because these are the days that I have to get those specific tasks done, if that makes sense. And some people are like the complete opposite and they want that flexibility. I don't want that flexibility at all. Like I said, especially as somebody who works for themselves, I'm really the only person who can keep myself accountable. And so I feel like that's the best way to keep myself accountable. So that is my biggest goal for this year, is just to really like lock down a really solid weekly schedule and stick to it too. Also, I want to become a morning person again. I used to wake up so early, and it was just such a great way for me to kind of spend time with myself and not have to worry about all the other tasks that I have to do later in the day. It just gave me that little bit of extra time that I really feel like I benefit from and I really thrive off of. I really find that it helps my mental health as well. And it helps my anxiety and it helps with my stress levels. I just need to go to bed earlier and wake up earlier. So that's definitely a huge goal. I was actually even thinking of doing a whole video around that and like just documenting me trying to wake up early again and how that affects my life. So let me know if you guys want to see that. Maybe that'll actually motivate me to do it. Do I have another tattoo plan? I want a new tattoo so badly. It's been, I think, close to 2 years since my last tattoo, which was this guy over here. I have this kind of somewhat half sleeve situation going on my other arm. I honestly just have zero idea of what I want. I have no inspiration. Nothing has sparked joy within me over the last 2 years. I really just don't know what I want. And the last thing that I would want to do is to force that, because a tattoo should be something that you are pretty confident in. And there's just nothing that I can think of that I'm confident in. So as soon as that inspiration strikes, I will absolutely get another tattoo. But as of right now, I have no ideas. And so I'm just not going to force it. The world needs more friendship advice. You seem to have a great support system. The biggest thing that I've learned when it comes to friendship, or especially as I've gotten older, is really quality over quantity. The worst feeling ever is when you give so much to somebody, but you don't really get much back. And you're just kind of like, okay, this is a one-way relationship and I'm just not here for it. I have only really wanted to keep people in my life who make me feel really good, who do give me a similar amount of energy back. They don't need to be perfect friends, but I do want to feel like there's some reciprocation to our friendship. And I kind of just realized that I just didn't want that anymore. And I would rather have people in my life who really just made me feel really good and who I really enjoyed just having in my life. Another really great question: how do you manage or don't the pressures of always needing to create and keep up? I think that is definitely something that I am actually struggling with quite a bit at the moment. Going back to my burnout, but especially over that time, that is really what stopped me from taking the break that I needed, because there is always the pressure to kind of keep up and never stop creating. But I think it's important to remember that, especially as a creative person, creativity is just not free flowing, and you need to have that time to be able to reset so that you can work as your best creative self. And it is just so important to be able to take those breaks. And I think that that is just something that I'm trying to realize myself. How long do I think I'll be doing YouTube for? There's really no way for me to be able to answer this question. I never thought I would ever be able to even do YouTube for as long as I have been doing it. If you would have told me when I first started that almost 10 years later I would still be doing it, I wouldn't probably believe you. I will continue to do YouTube until I just don't want to do it anymore. And as of right now, I don't see that being anytime in the near future. And really my biggest priority is just being happy with what I do. And right now I'm so happy with what I do. So I see no reason for me to want to change what I'm doing. Would I ever change the type of content that I make? I feel like this is something that I've already actually started to do. For the majority of my channel's life, I have made pretty much only makeup related content. And I think starting last year, I started to incorporate things that weren't necessarily just makeup related. I started to include some fashion videos here and there. I started to do more vlogs, which was super exciting. And moving forward, I'm definitely going to continue to create different types of content just because it's fun to do that. I love making makeup videos and I don't think I'm ever going to stop making makeup videos, but there's so many other things in my life and so many other things that I just enjoy that I want to make videos on, that I want to share, and I don't want to feel like I have those constraints. So that's just what I'm going to continue to do moving forward, and I hope you guys are down for that. What are your top tips for living with your significant other? Honestly, I feel like the key to living with somebody is just mutual respect. That's pretty much all that anything comes down to, because when you do have mutual respect for each other and for your space, a lot of things can be worked out. One of the biggest annoyances of living with somebody is just dealing with the mess that they create that you didn't create yourself. So I feel like it's probably most important to establish a certain sense of boundaries in your space. Like, what are the things that you want to make sure that you keep up? What are the certain chores that both of you are responsible for? I feel like kind of laying things out really plain and simple is really helpful when you are living with somebody, whether that's your significant other or even just a roommate. And also personal space. I know that's not possible for everybody depending on the type of place that you are living in. Whether that's like a corner in your house, it doesn't even need to be a separate room, but a certain place that you could kind of escape to when you just want to be by yourself and you don't want to be around them, because, we are all individual humans. Don't always want to be around people all the time. It's totally normal. I think that is also a really healthy thing. And even though I live with my partner, I do still make sure that I have a lot of alone time, because that's what I really enjoy. And he also likes to make sure that he has a space in the house that he's able to escape to if he wants alone time. And that is definitely something that creates, again, just like healthy boundaries. What is your preferred method to wind down? I have definitely realized how good I feel in nature. And I honestly feel like being in nature just resets my nervous system. I feel infinitely better if I just spend time walking through the woods, just kind of not being on my phone and just taking in the moment. Sounds so cheesy, but it really is my favorite and most effective way to wind down. There's been so many times, especially when I'm really low mentally, where I don't even want to get out of bed, but I physically force myself to leave my bed and just walk outside, and it lifts my mood and it lifts my spirits even by 10%. And it just makes me feel so much better. So being in nature, going for walks, and doing things of that nature, pun intended. What's my biggest regret? This is a very, very deep question. And honestly, there's really not a lot of things that I regret. I really genuinely believe that even the hardest things that you go through can oftentimes be a gift, because they can teach you so many lessons and just make you a better person in a lot of different ways. Things that I do regret, though, are spending too much mental energy on the things that happened in my past. I am definitely an overthinker, which is almost an understatement. I can almost live in the past in my head, and I will often go back to certain moments that really scarred me, and I'll relive them over and over and over again. Really, my only regret is spending too much time in those places instead of just focusing on the now. And that's definitely something that I still have to work on and that I still continue to work on. Do I ever have anxiety about when you will get engaged, married, or have kids? When I was much, much younger, in my early teens, I always imagined what my life would look like. And I had this rough plan of how I wanted my life to go. I wanted to be engaged at 25, married at 26, and have my first kid at 27. As I've gotten older, I very quickly kind of let go of that expectation and that timeline. Really am very comfortable with just living my life and just kind of seeing where things take me. And if I get engaged or married now or in 5 years, it doesn't really make much of a difference to me. And life is just so unexpected. And it's not to say that I don't want those things, because I definitely do, but I'm okay with them coming when the time is right. So all that to say, I just feel like putting yourself on a timeline will just end up putting so much unnecessary pressure on yourself, rather than just being and just kind of experiencing life as it comes to you. You can want those things. That's totally okay. But just allow things to happen as they will. What are your favorite shows / movies right now? Recommend some, please. Okay, I have to recommend a show that I discovered a couple weeks ago that I watched the entire 3 seasons of, I think, in 3 days. Pen 15. My mom actually introduced it to me. She was like, you have to watch this. You're gonna die. It is so, so funny. And oh my God, this is one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. It's so hard to describe without sounding so odd, but I'm gonna try my best. It essentially chronicles like middle school life in the early 2000s, and it is so funny because the 2 main characters are the creators of the show, and they're actually in their 30s, but they're playing like 13, 14-year-olds, which sounds really creepy, but it's not. It's so hilarious and so cringy and so relatable in so many different ways. And oh my God, I just die laughing. It's the best. It makes you feel so awkward in the most amazing way possible. So I definitely recommend Pen 15. All right, guys, I think that is it. Those are all the questions that I'm going to answer today. I hope that you found it entertaining. Thank you to everybody who sent me in a question, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And let me know in the comments all of your thoughts and hit the thumbs up button if you did. Bye.